is Lynne with Soft Squares. I have been tagged. So there's a thing going around with the quilters where you get tagged, you have to answer some questions and then send it on its merry way, tagging a couple more people. And I got tagged by 2 people. Leana, Pastry Queen Farm Adventures, tagged me, and so did Jean with Kept in Stitches. If you have not subscribed to either one of them or even checked their channels out, please go do that. They're great channels. But the way this works is I get a bunch of questions, I need to answer them, and then add a question to the end of it, and then challenge 3 more content creators and add a new question to the bottom of that list. Now, because I was tagged twice, there's a couple different questions between the 2 of them. I actually am adding a couple to the end of this list, one from one list, one from the other, and then my own, just because they keep changing, if that makes any sense. All right, so the first question is, what is your favorite color? Honestly, I love anything color, but right now I'm really loving teal. I always love yellow. And something fun fact about yellow, it is the base of all of nature. It takes yellow to make green, and everything outside is green. So, and brown, and even the sky needs some yellow to it. So think about that. When you look at flowers, there's always yellow in the flowers, even if you don't see it directly. Yellows and purple. Pretty fun. Anyway, I love yellow. What's your favorite fabric designer? I actually don't have one. I just am drawn to different fabrics. I really like the fabric. I buy it. And I like a wide variety of types of fabric. I don't go for too much of the... what do I go for? I think I'm more traditional, honestly. A little bit on the modern side, but as long as it's something that just speaks to me, that's all I care about. Next question is, what's my favorite snack? Oh, chocolate. Chocolate. Although ice cream works too. So as long as it's cold. Chocolate's usually incorporated with the ice cream, but I really like fresh fruits, shakes, and ice cream. So chocolate doesn't have to be in it. All right. Preferred fabric cut. I like yardage. I do like pre-cuts, but yardage is what I'm gravitating towards. You can just do more with it. What TV quilter / personality, past or present, would you like to meet? I don't know if any of you guys know who Donna Jordan is with Jordan Fabrics. They are in Oregon, and she does a weekly tutorial, and it just fascinates me how she puts things together, and I just feel like I can learn a lot from her. I have already just watching her, but I would really enjoy the opportunity to meet her. And then, of course, pretty much anyone that's on YouTube, because I haven't met hardly any of the creators in person. So any of those. Okay, time of day you prefer to sew. I like to sew late at night. Very rarely do I get up early and start sewing. Usually I've got hit the ground running, trying to get stuff done. And my reward for being done with all of those things is to be able to sit and sew and relax. I tend to not get as sidetracked if all that stuff is done and there's no one around to bother me. So I like doing it late at night. How much quilting time do you get to have? So it's as much as I can squeeze in, a few hours at a time. Honestly, I am my own boss, and I don't let myself sew a lot. I have too many things to do, so I need my boss to give me some more hours. I can't read this very well, sorry. Where do you store your fabric? I store my fabric in modular shelving units. So think of like IKEA and the cubicles. I use a lot of that. They're not necessarily from IKEA. There's a lot of closet organizers, stuff like that, but they're in white modulars. And some of you have seen, depending on the videos I've made, a back wall of fabric, and that is it, white shelving. However, when I have a project, I store them in the Iris photo storage, photo keeper book containers. They hold a 12 by 12 sheet of paper, and it's acid free, and they're just the perfect size to put a layer cake and other fabric in it. They're about this deep. I'm sure you've seen those too, but I really, really like those. Or I'll use the zipper poly, I guess not poly, vinyl bags, the project bags. If I'm in the middle of working on the project, I don't usually get the big container out unless I'm actually, there's just so much in it that I need all at once. But I do a lot of storing in those containers. Let's see here. What other medium other than fabric do you enjoy creating with? Well, I haven't done a lot lately, but I really enjoy baking cookies. And so that's been fun to play with them. I don't do anything really terribly crazy with them, but I do enjoy making cookies. And when I get to making my sugar cookies, it's just fun to decorate them, although I honestly have not done that in a long time. How long have you been sewing or quilting? I have been sewing pretty much all my life. I've been making quilts since 1987 when my best friend had a baby. I made my very first quilt there, and I just basically took a panel and added a gigantic ruffle to it, super fat batting, and I machine quilted it, and very basic, but it was very complicated for my skill level, and this girl's now in her 30s, and she treasures this quilt, and it just, I think it's so sweet. Anyway, and then I started to get really into actual, because the rest, I was just kind of winging it, figuring things out, working with the panel here and there, not doing a ton of it. I always had access to a machine. I really started to sew quilts when I worked for the Viking store inside Joann's and sold Husqvarna Viking machines, and all the quilters would come in and see me, and I was always making samples and around all kinds of creative people, and I could see all the things I didn't know and I wanted them. And so I started taking classes, just learning from being around other people, and then found YouTube, and there's things on there. Jenny Doan, she's the first YouTube videos I started seeing about quilting tutorials. So I want to say 2010 is really when I just jumped in with both feet and said, let's do a little more than the basic stuff and let's dive into it. And then during the pandemic, I really ramped up how I'm sewing and getting my software store going. The store itself has been around since 2011, so it's both of them just kind of between my sewing and that. I wasn't doing a whole lot with quilting, but now I jumped right in and I have been doing a lot. I hope that made some sense. Have I made a scrappy quilt? I made many scrappy quilts. Scrappy quilts are awesome. If you could add one thing to your sewing room, what would that be? I would like more desk space. I have a lot of different machines and different things. I've got the Brother Scan-A-Cut. I have a Sweet 16. All of those need a surface. And I have a large cutting counter. In fact, I'm staring at it. That has two machines sitting on it. And so I would like to move one to a table so I can actually, or a tall desk so I can actually use the cutting surface for cutting. When you see my tutorials, you really don't know I have that cutting surface. You see my ironing surface, and then a little 13 by 13 square rotary mat is what I typically have been cutting on, just simply because it works. And when I first started making YouTube videos, I was working in a really small space, so I already have figured out how to work in a small space. But I have a big counter, so I would like to free it up and be able to use my counter. So I would like more desk space. What else is on here? What snack or beverage do you have at your sewing machine? I always have cold water. And usually in one of these containers, you can hear the ice rattling around there. I'm just always sipping water, always need that water. And sometimes I'll get a snack. Not very often do I have it when I'm sewing. I don't like to have food around my projects in case something goes wrong. Definitely don't have anything that would melt, but I love chocolate. But when I'm sewing, it's my water container. In fact, it's with me no matter where I am. I always have it. Okay, so my question that I'm adding to this is, how many quilt retreats have you been to? I have been to 5 different retreats by 2 different organizers, and I just started going to retreats a couple of years ago, and I'm hooked. It's a lot of work to get there, but it's so much fun when I'm there and I get a lot done. So that is my question and answer for this. And now I'm going to tag 3 people and pass this on. I am tagging Vickie with Creative Notions Quilt Shop. I am tagging Andrea with Arkansas Gals and Robin with Robin's Quilt Basket. So you guys, please answer the questions, pass it on to 3 more people, and I hope all the viewers are enjoying learning more about their YouTube channels. Thanks for joining me today. Have a great day.